3232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
But it turns out there's a growing number of grandparents who are now taking up the hobby.
And not all of them are male. 7 million gamers are aged over 50, 7 million of them. And we're going to introduce you to one this morning. Her name's Kath Bowie. She's 76 years of age, and Kath has become a worldwide star of the game Fortnite. Good to see you, Kath.
Hello, good morning to both of you.
Morning.
And tell me this, Kath, is Bowie your real name?
Bowie. Yeah.
Bowie.
Yes, it is my real name, yes.
And you do it a Bowie and not a Bowie?
It's a Bowie, yes, definitely Bowie, yes.
Bowie or Bowie?
Bowie.
Bowie.
But that's not what the Jim Bowie was called, or Jim Bowie was called in the Alamo. He was a Bowie.
No, but that's what I'm called, Kath Bowie.
Oh, right.
She's their own superstar.
You are your own superstar. You are indeed. Well, so we're led to believe, Kath, that there's nobody else like you, or very few people like you, but there is. There is lots of people your age, your stage, doing what you do.
Yes, there's not a lot that streams. Okay, Fortnite, but there's definitely plenty that plays. Any game, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Fortnite. It can be any game.
So Kath, how did you get started in all of this?
Oh, yeah, well, it's 7 years ago, actually. I walked into my teenage grandson's bedroom and just saw him playing what I now know, of course, what I play is Fortnite. And that was the very first week that Epic had released it. And it was just really love at first sight.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, it's 11 o'clock, which means it's time for tomorrow's Newspapers Tonight. Join us over the next hour to find out what's happening to rich people's money after the budget. Are you afraid of the big bad gas boiler? And what does Russia think is too gay? I'm Stephen Allen, and tonight I've got comedians Kerry Marks and Nick Dixon taking you through Friday's top stories. This is Headliners. But before tomorrow's news, let's get tonight's headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good evening to you. The top story tonight, well, the street in New Orleans where a deadly New Year's Day attack took place and left 14 dead has now reopened tonight. Among the victims were an aspiring nurse and a father of two, remembered today in a minute's silence at the Sugar Bowl football game. The FBI says the attacker, Shamsuddin Jabbar, acted alone, killed by police after driving into crowds and planting explosives. He'd also reportedly posted videos pledging allegiance to ISIS before the attack, though no links to so-called Islamic State has been found, relating to a Tesla explosion near a Las Vegas hotel just hours after the incident in New Orleans. The FBI says it's now reviewing hundreds of hours of surveillance footage and over 400 public tip-offs. Here, meanwhile, Kemi Badenoch is calling for a national inquiry into the UK's rape gang scandal, saying justice for victims is long overdue. Her plea comes after Labour's safeguarding minister insisted it was for Oldham Council alone to decide whether to launch an investigation into exploitation of children between 2011 and 2014. Even Elon Musk has attacked that decision, claiming Jess Phillips deserves prison and accused Sir Keir Starmer of inaction as Director of Public Prosecutions before leadership of the Labour Party. However, the government says it is working to implement recommendations from the 2022 independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, pledging to strengthen the law to protect victims. Suspected people smugglers could soon face travel bans, phone restrictions and social media blackouts under new government proposals. Ministers are introducing interim serious crime prevention orders to impose immediate restrictions. The move follows a sharp rise in small boat crossings in 2024, with over 7,000 more migrants arriving than the previous 12 months. Labour says the powers will tackle vile gang networks, but the Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp told us it won't make any difference at all.
This is the same government, of course, the same Labour Party, who voted against life sentences for those very same gangs when they were in opposition. And on their watch, since the election, now 6 months ago, illegal immigration across the Channel has gone up by 29% compared to last year. And I think it was a huge mistake of Labour to scrap the Rwanda deterrent before it even started. The first flight was due to take off on the 24th of July, and Labour cancelled it before that plane had a chance to leave. And I think if that had started, then we would see the numbers dramatically reducing.
And we're being warned to brace for a bitterly cold weekend, with temperatures plunging as low as -8 degrees Celsius tonight. Wintry showers and icy roads are forecast across Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England, while up to 40 centimetres of snow could blanket high ground in Wales and the Pennines by Monday. London councils have also activated emergency shelters for rough sleepers, while Age UK is urging pensioners to stay warm despite soaring heating costs. The Met Office says a brief thaw, though, is expected by Sunday, but freezing conditions will return early next week. That's the news on GB News. Your next update in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, your first look at tomorrow's top stories with three comedians. Before we dive in, let's take a look at what Carey and Nick will have to work with on Friday's front pages. The Telegraph says Labour blocks grooming gang probe. The Daily Mail, pay of NHS managers soars £1.1 billion. The Guardian has ministers plan biggest shake-up of adult social care for decades. The Daily Express goes with Kemi. Inquiry into UK's rape gangs is long overdue. The iPaper says millions face bill to install heat pumps in net zero push. And finally, the Daily Star, the grit escape. Didn't quite work, does it? Lesson for trying. Let's have a closer look at some of the front pages. We start with Friday's Telegraph. Carey, talk us through all the treats they bring us.
There's loads. There's loads. There's loads. It's a very full front page, and I'll start with some of the smaller stories. Try the diet that actually works. We get the top corner. That's an advert and a horrible way to find out that diets up to now have never worked. Wow. But there's a new one, and it does.
Oh,
hey. The other thing they've got here is shiver no more, thermal underwear is officially cool. Surely you want it to be officially warm, but apparently it's officially cool. But officially, how does this even happen? How does something become officially... What, is there a voting group or something?
It's a department. There's a quango.
I thought people just wear a thermal underwear because it's cold and it's efficient. But apparently not. I don't know. The world's changed. Anyway, some other little stories going on. French-trained troops in Ukraine go AWOL. Basically, the French have trained Ukrainians to surrender. Change of history there. And there's an Oxfordshire dinosaur highway that's been unearthed. It's hard to know whether that means it's a big highway or an old highway. But apparently they found loads of footprints of middle lane dinosaurs.
I don't think dinosaurs drove.
No, I don't think
We'll
they
look
did.
into that
Well,
later.
maybe this is find out. And then there's some bigger stories. Do you want anything before we get on to the bigger stories?
No, I was waiting for the big story.
I feel like I was talking too much.
I was waiting for the big. I was wondering when you were going to do.
You might want to jump in.
I was wondering if you were ignoring if you were trying to cover up.
No,
the
I'm
big story.
trying to get to it by building through all the little bits
I
first.
see. Soften them up with the.
Yeah,
with the
that's right. Pro-Ukraine soldier in Tesla. So this is the the Tesla attack. He was pro-Ukraine, which I don't know why they're mentioning it like it's some kind of weird celebrity endorsement. Hey, support Ukraine, he does. Yeah, they're always into this tittle-tattle, aren't they, of what a terrorist might have been into, where they had a right-wing view, or they once said something pro-Israel or whatever, and that now defines them. Anything other than saying what they were actually doing or what they were actually about.
Blowing stuff up is the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Their tweets.
Yes, this is that becomes really relevant. Clegg quits Meta. Meta is... Meta, I don't know much about this. I don't really go on Facebook, but it's what Facebook became, is it?
Yeah, it's the company that owns the stuff that, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, I think they're all owned by
I know they've got a few. They're a bit of an umbrella company. I didn't even know he was in it, but he spent 7 years at Meta and reported a salary of more than 10 million, so well done him.
You can get a bit of detail on this, because he's scared of Trump. That's what's
he's scared of Trump, yeah. I mean, Trump was banned from Facebook and all social media. I think it was 5 years or something. You'd know more about this than me, but I think he had a 5-year ban from just about everything.
Yeah, and he's been very anti-Trump. He talks about protesting Trump. He's been very anti-Musk. So now that it's Trump and Musk and Zuckerberg has to get on with him, the rumour is it's time for Clegg to go. I don't know if it's that or if they just finally noticed it's Nick Clegg. We've been employing Nick Clegg at Facebook and giving him £10 million allegedly. So did anyone just notice how insane that is?
Yeah, it was a weird fit, wasn't it? He wasn't even Prime Minister. Did they miss? Was there a printing error? And they're like, "Who's this deputy?" Ignore that bit. Prime Minister of the UK.
It's as
it was one of the prime ministers. It was one of the. It was in there or thereabouts.
Yeah, it was.
Is that allowing Zuckerberg to more blame him then, because he's now sucking up to Trump, isn't he?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think the MAGA writing is on the wall. I mean, Zuckerberg said Trump was badass when he did fight. He's got to try and suck up to Trump a bit.
He's grovelling now, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, look at Bezos. With the Washington Post, with suddenly not taking a side. They all realise what time it is.
We've danced around it enough. Does anyone want to talk about
the big one?
The sad story.
Do you want to start on
this? I can do it, yeah. But
I'm happy to jump in.
It's Labour blocks Grooming gang pro. And obviously we know this is the... I say obviously we know, we're here to tell you. It's this Oldham investigation. And Elon Musk, of course, has attacked Jess Phillips about this claim that she blocked the Oldham investigation, whereas she said it was because they can deal with it at the local level. She says it's for Oldham Council alone to decide to commission an inquiry into child sexual exploitation locally rather than for the government to intervene. But, of course, it's very controversial because this topic is blowing up on Twitter lately, as it should be, finally. It's good to see it finally blowing up, this disgusting...
She also she had the opposite just about a year ago, didn't she? She was complaining that the Tory party weren't holding an investigation into it, and now, just a short while later, it's none of my business, so they should sort it out.
Very different when you're in government. And
well, I'm not.
The whole cover... I mean, when you look into this scandal, and it's coming out to the whole world now, when you find that police officers were arresting the children rather than the rapists, and they were arresting the fathers in some cases rather than the rapists, there does need to be a massive investigation, and some people do need to go to prison. I don't know if Elon Musk is right to say Jess Phillips does, but some people may need to go to prison.
I don't think she should be going... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, for Ofcom panicky reasons, surely even he thinks that's hyperbolic. I think... You get fired for not doing your job rather than go to prison for it,
yeah? It's a bit of a Trump thing as well, isn't it? Just send everyone to prison that he doesn't like, and as a rhetoric thing.
He doesn't know our prisons are full as well.
Well, he doesn't understand. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it sounds like I can imagine Elon Musk being told by his mother that he's mixing too much with Trump now. Stop mixing with that bad man because he makes you want to throw everyone in prison. But there is obviously this is a massive case. The Pakistani grooming gangs, which was a bad name for a gang, by the way. Hell's Angels sounds cool, but that's who joined this one. Apparently, a lot of people did.
Tell you, yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't there be an investigation? Why is anyone trying to block it? It's one of the biggest scandals of its kind in this country, and there needs to be an independent inquiry just to answer all these questions that are being thrown out at the moment. I would have thought.
And Nick, even without there being an investigation into this, then the things that Elon tweets just end up being like the de facto facts. Because he's saying, because they don't want to do it because Keir Starmer was in charge of the Crown Prosecution Service. Yeah. Well, you could find out whether that's true or false. But if we don't have an investigation, then it just kind of hangs around as this rumour. Surely even Starmer should want this now.
You'd hope so. And in general, the reason Elon Musk is having to weigh in is because, of course, of how this has gone on for years and years, how it's been covered up. He's looking at it from outside and going, how has this been able to happen? Which many people are asking. Bill Ackman is asking it, because how have we allowed this to happen as a country? I put it like this. Let's say you're watching the TV and you flicked onto some country where they're all wearing military uniforms and shooting in the air, and you said, oh, in this country, children have been raped and tortured for years in 50 cities or more, and it's ongoing. And it's been covered up by police and social workers and counsellors and politicians and the media. You would say, I'm not sure that country should have a government. I think someone needs to step in. Maybe there needs to be international sanctions. We are now not a legitimate country until this is solved. Because of the cover-up, there's the atrocity. But if that had been dealt with properly, that's one thing. But the cover-up just shows we are not a real country anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there will be investigations on a local level, but the question that's been talked about here is that national one that can actually have more power and get into areas where local ones can't.
Yeah. I think there's just so many question marks in the air that they need to be officially answered, and with it being such a big case. But also, you've got to remember there were Muslim girls involved and people in the Muslim community who also feel silenced by all this. They were scared to speak out and so on, and so therefore there needs to be an inquiry for their sake as well, to get the truth out. So
I've got a statement to read from the Labour Party. I'll warn you now, it's long. If you're watching on YouTube, you just click a couple of times and it goes 20 seconds forwards. In a statement tonight, the Labour Party told us child sexual abuse and exploitation are the most horrendous crimes, and the Home Office supports police investigations and independent inquiries to get to the truth and justice for victims. We have supported both the national overarching inquiry into child abuse, which reported in 2022, and local independent inquiries and reviews, including Telford, Rotherham and Greater Manchester. Labour, in opposition, called for supported the national inquiry into child abuse under Professor Alexis Jay, which concluded in 2022. The Labour government is now working at pace to implement the recommendations, including introducing the duty to report. And that's all we've got time for. Thanks for joining us. Breakfast is on the... Oh, no, sorry, we can still fit in a little more. To the Express, Nick.
It was definitely long, no fake news there. So the Express has Kemi, inquiry into UK's rape gangs is long overdue. And, of course, this is Kemi Bay, not leader of the Tories, if you've missed her. And she has said... The time is long overdue for a full national inquiry into the rape gang scandal. Trials have taken place all over the country in recent years, but no one in authority has joined the dots. 2025 must be the year that the victims start to get justice. And she put this on X. And she received a community note, unfortunately, that said the Conservative government rejected a request for a public inquiry into grooming gangs in Oldham in September 2022. They also did not commission a national inquiry into grooming gangs during the 14 years they were in government. And that is pretty damning. That is a problem that happens. It makes it very difficult for Kemi to be credible, or for any of the uni party to be credible on this. And that is my big problem with it. You see, like I've said, when you have an atrocity on this scale... And this would be, because it's rape and torture, imagine if it was murder, it would be seen as like a kind of pogrom, because it's rape. This is like a historical atrocity. I say historical to say the scale of it, but it's ongoing. No party that's presided over that, in my opinion, has any right to speak on anything. This is my view, especially when it is baked into the logic of our progressive liberal elite, which includes the Tories and Labour, because this is not an accident. Why did this happen? It happened because white people, especially white working class people, are the bottom of society. It happened because people are absolutely terrified of being called racist to the point that they prefer child rape to go on, right? And it happened because we're prepared to sacrifice everything on the altar of multiculturalism. And that's why it happened. So it's baked into the system. So it will keep happening until this current elite is replaced with someone else. Maybe it's reform, I don't know. Someone sound like Rupert Lowe, maybe. But just with a completely different set of values that doesn't allow something like this ever to happen again.
It really was leading with your chin to actually say, someone should have done something by now. Well,
yeah.
Come on.
Well, yeah, but she wasn't the leader, to be fair, right? So I think she's got a right to say that something should be done about it now. But I also think she's doing this to suck up to Trump a little bit. And going with him, and then because, you know, of course, he's showing far more attention with Farage, and I think she really needs to establish a connection with the incoming American president. So there's a little bit of that going on as well, probably. But, you know, there's a lot of story here, and, you know, I think we're having the inquiry now, really. Labour have basically said they couldn't do anything about it because there was a £20 billion black hole.
To be fair to Kemi, I'm sure she's troubled by it.
Jokes don't work tonight.
I'm sure she believes it. But my point is, you're part of that government that was in for 14 years. That's always Kemi's problem. It's a difficult situation for her, but she doesn't really have a leg to stand on because of that.
Well, let's see what we can do with the Daily Mail, Carey. There's a sentence that strikes fear into the hearts.
Well, we can start off with here's Meghan on Netflix, back in the second division of celebrity, making soups and cakes for her pals. Wouldn't it be great if you could just make the news by baking a cake? But apparently she can. Yeah. So that's good. And the other big story they have is, it's just nice to be talking about something different. Pay of NHS managers soars 1.1 billion. So despite abject failure on their part for just about everything going on with the NHS and the queues going down the street and around the corner and all around the country and for everything, they're getting a 1.1 billion pay rise, or rather, pay deal. But I don't know what that means between them all. Or is that each? What do you think?
Probably not each yet.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Have each.
I'm surprised they didn't do that thing where they just link the two stories together and just have a headline that goes, well, that's money well spent.
Yeah. Cover it both in one go.
Oh, I thought you meant Meghan will be a new consultant for the NHS. I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah.
You don't hear. No, who will think of the middle managers, Steve? You never hear a good word about NHS middle. It's always like we've got all these endless middle managers we don't need, but they always remain, don't they? Can Elon Musk come in and just gut the middleman? I don't mean literally, but can he, like the government, the Doge department and Department of Government Efficiency?
Yeah.
Doge department was a tautology because the D already stands for department.
Good.
Department of Government Efficiency. Can you do that to the NHS and just get rid of all these middle managers, please?
Yeah, he seems too busy tweeting Starmer. Meghan as well. The clip was on this channel earlier where she said something like she just likes to improve mundanity or something like. There's a sentence. I wish I should have written it down.
And she was talking about cake and soup, was she?
Because it was this close to thinking, is she talking about Harry? Is this how it starts? Because that's what happens in relationships, isn't it? Daily Star, Nick. Go on, we've got time for some of this.
Sure, it's The Grit Escape, and that, Steve, is a pun on there was a film called The Great Escape.
Right.
And it was about snow, and there was a grit. So it's the grit.
There's a gritter in it.
But grit means great, and that's the pun. Do you see? And it's because we're going to have some snow, and 6 million sunshine holidays will be booked this month. So because of the snow and because we're cold, right? All right for some, isn't it? I've had to work all Christmas and New Year. No sunshine for me, Steve.
Well, I mean, enjoy it. Come on.
That's my only comment on that story. What else am I going to say?
There's people crying at home right now.
They should have a break and go away. They should. They deserve.
Yeah, but apparently this is they're booked to go during this month. They need to go this weekend. If they're going to avoid the bad weather we're hearing about is now, isn't it? I mean, tomorrow or the day after, I think.
We've also been told not to go out late at night.
Yeah,
but we can't. We have no choice. Anywhere. I get back at 1 a.m. What am I going to do?
I was going to sleep in the makeup room. Yeah, it's the only way legally that I'm allowed
with
to.
With Lewis.
Yeah. Well, still to come. Are you thinking of heat pumps? Bad news for Shakespeare and why I'm not playing Glastonbury this year. Spoiler alert, I wasn't asked. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Jaguar has ditched its growling big cat logo as part of what can only be described as a woke rebrand. The badge that has been used for decades, look at it, beautiful, on the bonnets of luxury cars has been swapped for a curved geometric J badge. They've also released a brand new advert, look at it, for their rebrand, which prompted Elon Musk to ask if the company actually sold cars. I thought this was a wind-up. It's not. It's true. And joining me now to discuss this is the motoring journalist, Amanda Stratton. Amanda, what on earth is going on at Jaguar? The car of James Bond, Batman, Arthur Daley has gone off the scale woke. Please make me make sense of it.
The E-Type is an absolutely iconic car, and it's important that people remember that, in fact, in its heyday, Jaguar was an incredibly prestigious brand, more so really than other British brands like Aston Martin, for example. But, you know, people in the industry are left sort of scratching their heads because you need to do something bold, you need to do something that catches people's attention, but you also need to stay true to who you are and what you are, and I'm not sure that this is it.
Amanda, that could be an advert for anything. It could be cat food. It could be Karl Lagerfeld. It could be literally anything apart from a Jag. Well, I mean, honestly, OK, we're talking about it. So we are talking about it, but we're not talking about it for the right reasons, are we?
And I think if I was going to be speculative here, I would like to think that this is actually all part of a cunning plan to get everybody talking about it. Yeah. So when they do launch the first new car that we're going to see, which, you know, people have been waiting, as I say, since 2001.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Stephen Allen here with Kerry Marks and Nick Dixon. If you want to get involved, you can leave your comments on gbnews.com/your say. There's one here from Kevin who says, I left a comment, never agreed with Nick, not a nice bloke. And then he says, I was referring to Nick Clegg, not Nick Dixon. I agree with everything he says. Top man, dry wit.
Rescued that one, yeah.
It's close, wasn't it?
I was about to get very, very sad.
Sounds like an idiot.
It's all kicking off already. Kerry, to the Telegraph, and it turns out that they didn't want to talk about grooming gangs because you don't want to lose that valuable grooming gang vote.
Ex-Labour chairman told me not to raise grooming gang ethnicity to keep votes. So this is the former Rochdale MP. Simon Dansuk, I believe, and I apologise if I got that wrong. He says that Tony Lloyd warned him not to link the gangs and the crimes with any kind of cultural significance, which is an odd thing. You know, making allowance for cultural difference, I think, is a very nice thing. People from this country bow more. The people from that country have some custom or whatever, or give presents more. But this is taking it to a limit that's or to a level that's absolutely incredible. So what it was he was threatened apparently, or as good as threatened, by Mr. Lloyd and Jim Dobbin, and told not to talk about this and not to talk about the scandal and so on because of how it could make the Labour Party look and how it could damage Lloyd's prospects of becoming the Greater Manchester Police Commissioner. Both of those two are dead now, so, you know...
It helps for legal reasons.
Yeah, makes it a bit easier for us to talk about as well. So, yeah, that's basically it, is that he was phoned, he was threatened, and then it gets into a very strange thing with Mr. Lloyd. And this goes on for several paragraphs, but it said the Rochdale grooming scandal was not about ethnicity, criticising the English Defence League for holding protests on the issue. Then he starts saying it's comparing it with the Jimmy Savile case and how that was treated, which makes no sense whatsoever, apart from the fact that Jimmy Savile is dead and the perpetrators here are still alive, and this is an ongoing case with completely different ramifications to it. So, yes.
Well, it only makes sense if you're an apologist for it. I mean, that statement that you're talking about from Lloyd in 2012... this was, in the Westminster Hall debate. And he said sexual exploitation is not about the ethnicity or the cultural background of those involved. Well, of course, we know it was now. And maybe we didn't know at the time, but we certainly know now it was, because it was about the fact they were white. They're referred to constantly as white, various bleep words I can't say. It's referred to by the people doing these rapes. Also, the idea, there's also a religious element because they're not part of... because they're not part of the religion, they can be treated differently. So there is a cultural element. There is an ethic element. There just is.
There's also the fear of being seen racist by reporting and acting upon it. That, I think, might be the bigger way that it leads into this story, which obviously wouldn't in the Jimmy Savile thing, but this is the thing that bothers me so much about the way people formulate debates and discussions. It's and not but. You can think two things are bad, can't you?
Yes, it's not zero-sum game, yeah.
You can't have a situation where, unless you've protested about everything that's bad in this world, you can't protest about one thing.
Yeah, you'll never find someone that thinks the Jimmy Savile thing was good, but it's a way of saying, oh, white people do bad stuff too. Yes, we're well aware.
And it's and not but, isn't it? It doesn't stop that argument.
But also, you couldn't not mention anything about Jimmy Savile, religious beliefs or anything else. Absolutely everything was discussable. The idea that it's really bad, really bad to shut down the discussion on something and to not do everything you can to bring bring out the truth of what happened and what was involved in it. And by shutting it down, what you do is you create a vacuum, and then all the people you're complaining about will fill the vacuum with speculation. So get rid of the speculation. Let's find out what did happen, how bad was it, how many people knew about it, who did nothing about it, who shut it down from coming
absolutely.
out.
And I just ran into Simon in the green room. He said Yvette Cooper has showed no interest at the time. And also, he and Sarah Champion were campaigning on this. And remember, she had to step down in 2017 because of this article in The Sun where she spoke about it. So it's this thing of shutting people down who were the ones trying to expose it.
Yeah, and because that story was reported here on this channel, we reached out to the Labour Party on that thing, and they've not replied, which is probably good because you saw how long that previous statement was. So we are still awaiting their reply. Nick, the FT, and I'm amazed that Elon has time to tweet about the UK politics when he's got this thing going on.
Yeah, New Orleans attack, an act of terrorism unrelated to Tesla blast, says FBI. So we were talking about this yesterday, and we didn't want to speculate too much, but we did point out there was speculation on Twitter about it because, of course, there was the New Orleans attack and this attack at the Trump Tower in the Cybertruck, and they're saying that they weren't related. And the Cybertruck thing, Elon Musk has been complaining about how it's been reported, people making it sound like the truck exploded, whereas he's been pointing out it's the opposite. They had an explosive in there, but the truck actually kept them in there because it's so well armoured or whatever it is, and it stopped it being much worse. So some people were even saying this is a kind of, in a dark humour, kind of advert for the Cybertruck. You thought I had more on that, but I ended it there.
I'd love to know what you were going to say. If Nick's thinking I shouldn't say that on telly, then it must have been a good one.
I was wondering in which way it was an advert. Like,
well, because
it keeps bombs in.
I believe it was.
If your bomb goes off too early.
I think it was that it didn't. I think it was that it didn't make it much worse.
Yeah, well, I think he said it on social media that the explosion was directed upwards because the car effectively contained it, which obviously the next one needs to work on the sunroof.
Yeah.
You need to do that.
So what he's saying is don't use a Tesla for that, then?
No, do, because the Cybertruck is such a unit.
Yeah.
That it's a stupid thing to
You'll
try
only
and blow.
kill the person who's setting off the explosives, who arguably deserves to be killed,
you don't want
rather
to
than
use
anyone
a Tesla
else.
truck if you're the perpetrator.
Well, in that sense.
Right, OK. So,
oh, no, he's not trying to sell it to
He's not trying to sell it to villains.
I was going to say.
Right.
I was going to say that would be a very bad idea.
There's no used market in there, is there?
But, what else are we finding out here? The FBI says there was an ISIS flag, which apparently there was. That's a clue. I don't think we need Colombo for that one. And he was working alone, which there's a lot of speculation, of course, and conspiracy theory. No one really knows much at the moment. And they've only had a day to investigate. But there is rumour that he went to the same army college or grounds, I think, as the other attack. But we don't, as I say, we don't know much. And I don't know whether it's better or worse that he was working alone. Is that a good thing?
Steve, got a statement on that one? Anything from Cybertruck?
Yeah, well, we reached out to him, but he's not replied. It's
Right.
weird, isn't it? Still waiting. Nick, the Daily Mail, and now Keir Starmer is in trouble for not being left-wing enough.
I know, hard to believe, isn't it? But Keir Starmer faces new Labour rebellion as 20 councillors quit party in protest at winter fuel payment acts and other centrist policies, accusing the PM of a dictatorship paragraph. And that was about as long as one of your statements. So this is 20 members of Broxtowe Borough Council in Nottinghamshire, and their leader, Milan Radulovic, let's say,
for example,
has ended his 42-year association with the party, and he says that I cannot and will not support another centrist government, interesting to see when we get one of those, intent on destroying local democracy and dictating national policy from a high pedestal. And I must say that this winter fuel policy has been one of the stupidest policies ever in terms of risk-reward. Yeah. It doesn't save very much money. You've alienated old people and the entire left of your party, which is quite a big thing in the Labour Party. And yeah, I don't blame this guy, really. And can I just make one small other note, is that Robert Jenrick has replied and says Labour are failing the working classes. Every story, I feel like every story we've done tonight, there's been a Robert Jenrick comment. So I feel like Jenrick's still, like, thinking one day he'll be leader or something. This is my theory, because he's commenting on literally everything, saying, still here, guys, with a comments if you want them.
Still listening to him for a little while, aren't they? He's got some kind of aftermath. Yeah, so Broxtowe Borough Council, I've never heard of them, and neither has anyone ever. But apparently they're not into this government at all. You think after it's only been just over half a year of the Labour government for already for them to be breaking up like this is and the factionalising is happening a little bit early. But yeah, I agree. The winter fuel thing was what a mistake. I'm pretty sure Yvette Cooper was talked into it by the Treasury of kind of like, you should do this, and she was just so new at the time, she didn't occur to her. It wasn't a very good idea, and it would blow up like this, which it has done. The farmers thing probably more Labour, but the winter fuel allowance just doesn't seem like a Labour policy at all, does it?
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it suits them.
Will we freeze old people to death? That didn't occur to anyone. You know what I mean? That's That's like day one spitballing session. Blue sky thinking here, guys.
I imagine they're pretty scared over the next few days with this cold snap coming in. That if they, you know, if there are some older people who die in the cold, then it's going to be horrifying.
They'll be offering those holidays the Daily Star was on about to anyone over 60.
Well, the thermals. They're cool now.
Yeah. Thermals are cool.
They paid to get that ad in that paper.
If you're one of the older community, thermals are cool. You can wear them. If that was what was stopping you.
The fashion. Well, still to come. Are you thinking about heat pumps? That bad news about Shakespeare we will deliver to you, and I'm not playing Glastonbury. All of that is on the way for you. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Another cold one out there this evening. It's going to be a hard frost by morning across much of the country. Further snow coming in across northern Scotland. Strong winds means blizzards as the snow peppers through the Northern Isles. Easing for a time here, but spreading down into the mainland of Scotland. We could see several centimetres in some places, and with the showers further west and temperatures tumbling, that may well lead to some icy conditions for western Scotland, Northern Ireland, northwest England. Largely dry for England and Wales. Clear skies means it will be a cold start to Friday. The strong winds really blowing in the showers over northern Scotland through the night and still into the morning. So a Met Office snow and ice warning in place here, say several centimetres in some locations. Further west, it's more rain at low levels that we'll see, but with temperatures close to freezing, it could be icy over western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland, even into northwest England as the showers come in here. Elsewhere, it's a frosty but generally sunny start to Friday. As we go through the day, I think we'll see the snow showers easing a little bit. A mixture of rain and sleet showers coming into Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England. Still some snow flurries coming into northeastern parts of Scotland. Still very windy here as well. And that wind really bringing a chill. A few scattered showers for North Wales, but a good chunk of the Midlands, South Wales, southern England, eastern England staying dry. Feeling cold though, particularly in that wind in the east. Temperatures in single figures. Another frosty night on Friday night. Again, potentially quite icy on Saturday morning. Again, a good chunk of the country looking dry and fine, but a change down to the southwest weather system moving in. That'll bring some rain initially, but as this weather system hits the colder air, we could see some heavy snow for a time on Saturday. Probably not lasting too long across the south, but as it spreads into the Midlands, Wales, northern England, parts of Scotland, that snow could really build up as we head into Sunday. Freezing rain is an extra hazard as well, something to keep an eye on this weekend.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. You can get involved. Go to gbnews.com/yoursay. Quick one from Mark Gerard, who says, please stop saying only on GB News. It doesn't make any sense. Try and find it somewhere else then, Mark. We'll do a quick recap of the front pages. The Telegraph goes with Labour blocks grooming gang probe. The Daily Mail has pay of NHS managers soars £1.1 billion. The Guardian, ministers plan biggest shake-up of adult social care for decades. The Daily Express, Kemi, inquiry into UK's rape gang is long overdue. The Eye goes with millions face bill to install heat pumps in net zero push. The Daily Star goes with the grit escape. Nick, the Daily Mail, with so many acts refusing to do Glastonbury, basically just pooing in the field.
Great point, Steve. It's the stars who refuse to play Glastonbury, and I refuse to read the really, really long headline, but that's all you need. So you've got Neil Young, who is... he's dissing Glastonbury. He says it's all corporate now. He says we were told the BBC was now a partner in Glastonbury. I want us to do a lot of things in a way we were not interested in. He says it's a big corporate turn-off, and he's too cool, so he's not interested. To be fair, he discredited himself over the Spotify thing when he said you've got Joe Rogan spreading vaccine misinformation, and he made a fool of himself. And then he ended up taking his music off Spotify, then putting it back on later quietly. I used to love his music, but that was terrible. But he's right on this, I think. And then Brian May has a problem with it over badgers, because they're involved in just a callous badger cull that he thinks is a kind of badger genocide. So that's one reason he won't do it. And Noel Gallagher has spoken out just because it's woke and preachy and annoying, which is completely correct. And some people have also mentioned they don't get a great financial deal. They're expected to just do it because it's Glasto, and they don't care, especially if they're American bands.
Yeah, most of it comes down to money or the fact that it's not just a gig, it's actually broadcast, and they want more money for being broadcast.
Yeah, that's largely what it's coming down to. Are either of you ever done it?
I've done it. No, I went as a punter in 1998. Very Dutch, known as one of the dark years. It was like the Somme. It was like horrific weather.
Oh,
horrible,
the weather was dark.
Horrible, like sticky, horrible mud. Terrible. I don't know why people do these things for fun. Terrible, terrible ordeal. Never go.
Were you old then?
In spirit, yeah. Never go. The Manic Street Preachers get their own toilet, but they had a sign in it saying only for Manic Street Preachers, and Billy Bragg kicked off saying we've all got to use all the normal toilets. I'd hate that.
Yeah.
Let them have a toilet. Sorry, carry on.
Glastonbury's great. I kind of grew out of it, but there was once we had a party. I don't remember back in the day. Do you ever come to one of our parties, Cranny Gardens?
I did, but I'd pretend I was never there.
Pretending back. Yeah, you pretend not. Everyone pretends they never went to it. But there was once where we had a big party, and both the toilets in the house were broken, and we were stuck with it because the landlord couldn't do anything about it. We actually turned up at Glastonbury looking for the toilets. Oh, yeah, ones that work. So, yeah, well, Glastonbury's what it is. It changed several times, and I think I noticed a massive change the year when they put the reinforced wall up, changed the clientele somewhat, because before that, lots of people were just coming in, and that was part of the
barrier.
Of it all. Yeah, the hip barrier. Yeah. And then there was when they first put the tickets online, and that was at the time where high-speed internet was expensive.
Right.
So it changed the clientele massively because all the tickets sold out almost immediately.
Yeah.
So people with more money could come along. So already it was changing. But, you know, I mean, Gallagher says here, what was his actual... You mentioned it a minute ago, but his actual words were... which I can't read out the full sentence.
Yeah.
Most of this is all kind of petty.
It's all boo war.
They're booking this person.
The Tories, man.
Yeah. And, hey, guys, isn't war terrible? Yeah, let's all boo... F the Tories, man. Which is, yeah, I mean, that side of it does get a little bit... one of the biggest rock stars they ever had on there was Jeremy Corbyn, with the whole crowd shouting, ooh, Jeremy Corbyn. But I remember being there in one of the cabaret tent. I was comparing, not this moment, but there were all the guys around me doing this. Why can't it be like this all the time? And it just started becoming so airy. It's like, because you're going to run out of drugs and money, and you're going to realise you're in a dirty field, and the bands aren't going to play for free, and you realise you're eating rubbish food out of some van that's stopped. So yeah, look, it's fun. Do Glastonbury if you get a chance. Do it. Everyone should do it once, I think.
Yeah, not.
But
Neil,
at the same time,
Neil's not going to do it anymore.
Not Neil.
Kerry to the Telegraph, and do you fancy a heat pump? I do, but that's because that's the euphemism we use at home for intimate time.
Yes. So this largely revolves around Ed Miliband, who's a bit of a heat pump himself, and the heading is Net Zero Nudge Unit accused of COVID scare tactics will push heat pumps on public. Oh no, we're going to have heat pumps on us. So this is the Behavioural Insights team, which sounds a little ominous, and they were accused of using scare tactics during the COVID pandemic. And now they're in charge of this, trying to push heat pumps on us. I've got to be honest, I know very little about heat pumps. I know roughly what they are.
Well, you've come to the right nerd.
Are you going to tell us about them?
Adiabatic expansion of gases? Oh, I'll be all over it.
Yeah?
It's a reverse fridge, basically.
It's a reverse fridge.
Yeah,
it sucks in air from outside and heat in the air from outside.
You get your ideal gas equation, PV equals nRT, and if you change the state quick enough, temperature's the one that has to change, and that's how you make it happen.
Brilliant. I feel informed now.
I was going to say that.
I was holding it back.
I told Kay that before in the break.
The point is that a gas boiler typically costs between 2,000 and 4,000, and a heat pump between 5,000 and 7,500. So basically, you could buy a high-end boiler, top of the range, for cheaper then you could buy a low-end heat pump, which sounds like I'm talking about middle-aged dating at the moment, but that's basically what's going on. And so this company are trying to convince people otherwise that this is worth their while, but they've got a reputation for using scare tactics.
What's the actual nudge unit doing? In this whole article, I didn't get a sense of what we should be scared of. How are they going to make us feel scared?
It's nudging people into pretending that heat pumps are good.
But they talk about fear early on and then just say they're going to counter misinformation, and then you never hear of nudge again.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what tactics they're going to use, Steve, but they've got a lot of practice at pushing things that don't work from the COVID vaccine. I just wanted to force you to have to say that it saved lives.
For legal reasons.
Heat pumps save lives.
Heat pumps, yeah. Heat pumps, a couple of big problems is they're like 3 times more efficient but 3 times more expensive. Well, that's all waste of effort then, isn't it? And then you can save £100 a year.
And they're not pretty either, are they?
And your house is cold.
How do they compare with a normal boiler?
Well, the problem is because they can't get the temperatures up as high, you need bigger radiators. So the big cost is having all of your plumbing and radiators switched. When they eventually get the efficiency up, then you can leave your radiators as they are. That's when we'll start to use them, because it's a good idea. The technology is not there yet.
Well, Miliband is going to scrap noise restrictions on heat pumps, and he's going to lift the limit on their size in a push to expand their use, and he's also going to pass a law saying that they are pretty.
Oh, well, that's...
I added that. That wasn't true.
Nick, the Independent, and Brexit could see the end of small theatre companies doing Shakespeare, so some good has come from it.
Yeah, Starmer warned Brexit even putting performances of Shakespeare at risk. Even that, Steve. And the White Horse Theatre, which is Europe's largest educational touring theatre. I love to be educated when I'm at a play.
Theatre, yeah.
They've said that, look, this Brexit is terrible. It's increasingly difficult to bring British actors to European schools, reducing student audiences and forcing significant price increases. And I do have some sympathy. There's been lots of annoying negative things, I'll even admit, about Brexit. I mean, the most annoying is the Boris wave, is that we got absurd amounts of immigration from non-European countries, which wasn't part of the deal. But the problem remains, you want to make your own laws. Do you want to be part of the EU, which is failing anyway in their laws, their currency, their army, political alignment? You don't. So it's a tricky thing. But I understand that Brexit has led to various complications. I'm not a zealot, I'll admit that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you shocked by that bit?
I just assumed you would be.
No, not really on Brexit. I mean, because we've all been betrayed on Brexit anyway. It's a red herring because we got the Boris wave, so it didn't do what it was supposed to do, which was stop immigration or let us control it, at least.
Yes, I'm not quite sure what it did do, actually, but... is it a dagger we see before us to destroy Shakespeare himself? Maybe his end has come. He had a good run, but really this is just about this one theatre company. It's costing them too much to do their tours, and people won't pay enough. I don't know whether they've tried nudity. That often works, doesn't it? I guess people would pay more.
Yeah, it would be educational, I suppose.
Yeah,
go around doing
that's what I'd suggest.
Is this a dagger I've seen before me? That's not a dagger,
You've got
not a dagger.
Bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah?
That's true, yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Shakespeare puns I'm doing now.
Yeah, no, I'm remembered.
For the new year.
But also, why can't people...
remembered for my boss.
Character.
Why can't Europeans put on their own Shakespeare? That's what I want to know.
Good point, well made. Well,
they can't
still
do
to
it.
come, trouble in Russian nightclubs and why some over 60s are managing to solve their winter fuel issues on their own the smart way. We'll tell you how. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest GB News winter sun forecast, and for some places, Madeira for example, it is going to be relatively warm to end the week. Lots of dry weather around some parts of southern Europe, but a different story across parts of Italy, Croatia into Greece. A little bit of rain pushing its way through here. Mostly dry across central and southern parts of Spain, a little bit wetter further north, and like I said, for Madeira, temperatures on the rise, getting into the low 20s by the end of the week. Elsewhere, temperatures nearer normal for the time of year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Recruiters are warning that if you're not tech savvy, you could be missing out with your CV failing to make it through an AI-powered sifting process. So we've gone from sort of computer says no HR people ticking boxes to AI, right? Is that right?
Yes, well, this applies once you're in the job as well, as a recent report revealed that employees expect AI will manage an average of a third of their tasks within the next 12 months. Well, joining us now to discuss this is Cosmo Curry, founder of Van Kaizen, a leading company in technology recruitment.
Morning, Cosmo.
Morning.
Good
Hi
morning.
there.
Well,
Hi.
yeah,
Hi,
thank you for joining us. It's very interesting, isn't it? Because AI is, of course, on the rise, and now in the workplace and in universities and things. Another article came to mind. There was a student recently, I think it was in the news just the other day, that got in trouble for using AI. So there's, you know, for exam purposes and essays. So there's lots of different ways that it can be a good thing and a bad thing. But you're, of course, here to talk about the ways in which AI is a good thing within the workplace.
Absolutely. I mean, AI is here to stay, for sure. And we're seeing this rise of people using it in such a clever format. And the other side of it is also we're seeing people who are using it and during the process of that, they are losing their character. We're losing the actual insight into the individual behind that. And so we've kind of got this kind of mix. And I think AI is phenomenal when you're looking at it from a point of view of optimization, point of view of speed, getting results. But I think we have to remember that, you know, the fundamental of recruitment is people. And we cannot substitute the people, the personal aspect, by replacing that with AI.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Thank you, Britain.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for subscribing.
Thank you for your support.
It's you that make us the People's Channel.
As we reflect on our journey so far, we're filled with immense gratitude.
You mean the world to us. We couldn't have reached this point without you.
As a very special thank you, we are giving you the chance to win one of 50 GB News thank you boxes. They're worth £50 each.
For full terms and conditions, and to enter, just go to gbnews.com/thank you.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to Headliners, and you're still having your say on gbnews.com/yoursay. Lynn says nobody wants electric cars. They're a complete failure, and heat pumps will go down like a cup of cold stick as well. Heat pumps can get to 40 degrees rather than 60 like a gas boiler, so I mean, that's a good temperature for a cup of sick. It's terrible for your house, but if you are drinking sick, enjoy yourself, Lynn.
Only on GB News.
Only on GB News. Kerry, the Daily Star. And in Russian nightclubs, you can be arrested by someone for looking too gay, and yet the officer is the one who turns up dressed like someone from the Village People.
Yeah, well, I'm sure our viewers are wondering what's going on in Russian nightclubs, so now we're able to tell you. The headline is Russian nightclub revellers arrest for looking too gay as one goth gets away, which is a kind of confusing headline, really, but I will explain it. I'm surprised stories like this get out of Russia, really, but this one happened back in February, so it's obviously taken a while for it to get out. And what it was 7 people were reportedly hit with charges for trying to arouse interest in non-traditional sexual relations. I don't know how they know what they were trying to achieve, rather than just where they were dressing for fun, but apparently they do. And when it says looking too gay, I don't know whether there's a limit on how gay you're allowed to look in Russia. Maybe there is. You have to be oh so gay, perhaps. And then one of them said that he wasn't being gay, he's a goth. So basically, it's almost like a fancy dress guy. I came as a goth, you know, which obviously he didn't. He then ran away saying, chase me, and has probably been arrested now following his showing off about the fact he got away by pretending he'd be a goth, which is now all over the world's media, so they know about that. Basically, it's not as tolerant a country as this country, which everyone complains about for its intolerance. So one there for gays for Palestine to consider.
Just to answer your question, Kerry, they have a chart, you know, like the height restriction for a roller coaster.
How gay are you?
Yeah, and there's like different pictures, and they point and they say, well, quite gay.
And then they say you can go on this ride.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, it's fairly liberal for Russia. I mean, a guy got out of any kind of fine who had an eyebrow piercing and turquoise-dyed hair, and he still got off. So it's not exactly this crackdown. We did a story last night. The Taliban aren't even allowing women to look through windows.
Yeah.
So Russia really seems pretty chill in comparison.
Or maybe what you're saying is the women should say, no, I'm a goth, because dressed all in black, and maybe they'll get away with it and be allowed near a window.
And to nightclubs.
Yeah, which would be the ultimate win. Nick, the eye, and there are some over 60s taking tax money and not paying it back, flipping students.
It's disgusting, Steve. Thousands of over 60s take out student loans they are unlikely to ever repay because of time. So they could technically face repayments past their 100th birthday. And so what they're doing now, there's some sort of boring technicalities of which kind they're eligible to get. They can get living costs, but not certain other fees like tuition fees or something like that for undergraduates. But basically, they're milking these loans. Yeah. It's one way to get extra money because Labour have taken away your winter fuel payments. So you're like, right, I'm enrolling in media studies or whatever, like we all have. And, yeah, it's a bit of a scam. The whole student loan, you know, people don't realise as well how it accumulates. It's not quite as low as you think it is. So the whole thing, I'm against student loans and university. Yeah. Go on.
No, I agree with you. I'm against student loans. Although I'm thinking of taking a course in student loan loopholes, which I hope there's a course. This is brilliant. I mean, why don't I think of this?
Yeah, you can apply for some funding.
Apply and I know what would happen is I'd get the loan and then think I'll die before it, and then I'll win the lottery and have to give it all back, and it'll be that exact amount of money. I know my luck. It wouldn't work for me, but this might work for you.
We've got about a minute to try and cram this one in the Daily Mail, and women say that men are immature, but they spend thousands on cuddly toys.
A thing called a jellycat. The jellycat cult has got grown women. That's opposed to what other kind of women?
Ungrown ones.
Ungrown women. Yeah. OK. Forking out thousands on cuddly toys. Look, we've lived through this. This is the latest cuddly toy. I remember the Cabbage Patch doll when everyone was going mad about that one, and I didn't really care much for the Care Bear, so that says a lot about me, I think. So now there's a new toy. It's called jelly something or other. You can tell how much I care about this. What do you think?
No, it's one that I've literally written nothing. It's the first toy ever I've had nothing.
I know of these Jellycats because my son's got some Jellycat toys, but of course he's 2 and not a grown woman.
Or a woman. A woman is a grown woman, by the way. Can we be clear about this?
It started when they started reading Harry Potter children's books. Now they're playing with toys.
The infantilisation.
It's the decline of the West. I knew I'd get that in.
There, you get it just perfectly in time. Shout that at the end of the show and then we'll move on. Well, the show is nearly over. Enjoy your declining West. Let's take another quick look at Friday's front pages. The Telegraph has Labour blocks grooming gang probe. The Daily Mail has pay of NHS managers soars £1.1 billion. The Guardian, ministers plan biggest shake-up of adult social care for decades. The Daily Express, Kemi, inquiry into UK's rape gangs is long overdue. And the Eye, millions face bill to install heat pumps in net zero push. And finally, of course, the Daily Star, the grit escape. Well, that's all we've got time for. My guests, thank you to them, Kerry and Nick. Leo Kearse will be here tomorrow at 11 p.m, joined by Kerry. You're back again, you'll have to pick those up. And Paul Cox will be here as well. If you're watching at 5 a.m, stay tuned. Breakfast is on the way. Until the next one, have yourself a good one.
We'll see a cold snap, which will quickly develop into a warm front. Boxed Boiler Repairs, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Another cold one out there this evening. Is going to be a hard frost by morning across much of the country. Further snow coming in across northern Scotland. Strong winds means blizzards as the snow peppers through the Northern Isles. Easing for a time here, but spreading down into the mainland of Scotland. We could see several centimetres in some places. And with the showers further west and temperatures tumbling, that may well lead to some icy conditions for western Scotland, Northern Ireland, northwest England. Largely dry for England and Wales. Clear skies means it will be a cold start to Friday. The strong winds really blowing in the showers over northern Scotland through the night and still into the morning. So a Met Office snow and ice warning in place here, say several centimetres in some locations. Further west, it's more rain at low levels that we'll see, but with temperatures close to freezing, it could be icy over western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland, even into northwest England as the showers come in here. Elsewhere, it's a frosty but generally sunny start to Friday. As we go through the day, I think we'll see the snow showers easing a little bit. A mixture of rain and sleet showers coming into Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England. Still some snow flurries coming into northeastern parts of Scotland. Still very windy here as well. And that wind really bringing a chill. A few scattered showers for North Wales, but a good chunk of the Midlands, South Wales, southern England, eastern England staying dry. Feeling cold though, particularly in that wind in the east. Temperatures in single figures. Another frosty night on Friday night. Again, potentially quite icy on Saturday morning. Again, a good chunk of the country looking dry and fine, but a change down to the southwest weather system moving in. That'll bring some rain initially, but as this weather system hits the colder air, we could see some heavy snow for a time on Saturday. Probably not lasting too long across the south, but as it spreads into the Midlands, Wales, northern England, parts of Scotland, that snow could really build up as we head into Sunday. Freezing rain is an extra hazard as well, something to keep an eye on this weekend.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
There's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize ever, an incredible £50,000. What would you spend £50,000 on in the coming year? Spectacular holidays, a brand new car, home improvements, or maybe you'd just like to save it for a special occasion? For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Bansky's Girl with Balloon is arguably one of the artist's most recognisable images. So when a limited edition print signed by the artist was stolen from Grove Gallery in London, an investigation was launched by the Metropolitan Police's flying squad. The work was thankfully retrieved. The desire to own great works of art has once again become evident this week, albeit a little further afield on the continent. Police in Italy have uncovered a criminal network forging artworks by Bansky, Andy Warhol, Pablo Picasso and others. Investigators said that they've seized more than 2,100 fake pieces of art with a potential market value of about £165 million. With me to discuss that case is the Chief Executive of Grove Gallery, James Ryan.
The art world needs to tighten up. It is known as a bit of a Wild West out there because people will try and chance it with these forgeries. You're quite right, there's only one actual original, but even auction houses have been hoodwinked before.
The burglary that you suffered is sub judice, so we have to be careful what we say about it. But it must have been a bit of a shock to you. I mean, was it a broken window, a smashed door?
At 10, 11 o'clock at night, and just hammer straight through, shoulder barging through the door, and then in and out. You know, gone in 60 seconds. I must say, I know.
Obviously, that a targeted attack. The person would have known what he or she was after. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I must say, I know they cop a lot of flack, the police force, but the flying squad got the artwork back within 3 days. They were fantastic. So yeah, I've never heard or seen, other than the Thomas Crown affair type film, I just didn't think it'd be happening to little old me, in Fitzrovia, but it did, and thankfully we got it back.
GB News.
Tonight it's me, Christopher Hope, in for Nigel Farage on GB News as we celebrate the working-class sport of darts. We'll be asking, are middle-class gastropubs killing off the arrows? And I'll be revealing a surprise great darts champion.